I was just looking at this. I'm not sure if you're familiar or if you know too much about gaming, but I was looking at the release of this game called Dragon Age Veilguard, and it's the fourth installment of a game, Dragon Age, that is supposed to be like this really dark fantasy kind of universe.
Mm-hmm.
And this fourth installment got a lot of critique, and rightly so, because it's introducing themes that really don't belong in that game, like gender fluidity, transgenderism, all that stuff, which is great. It's fine. It just doesn't really make sense in that universe. So people were quite angry, were quite angry about it. And if you go on any non-mainstream media, like you go on YouTube, you go on any podcast, you're going to find out what people actually think about it. If you go on like the mainstream, on big reviewers, IGN and all that, they're just going to be like, it's a fantastic game, 9 out of 10. Why has it flopped then? Why is it not selling? Why do people hate it? And I feel like it's this disconnect between what people actually think versus what the paid media wants them to think that is really creating a lot of disruption. And I think that goes for crypto as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there is, I think in all kinds of markets, you can just pay people or do sponsored posts and all of that stuff where they just write exactly what you want them to write. But I also think it's much more authentic and genuine if you actually have a normal conversation and there is, let's say, more genuinity behind.
Yeah, 100%. Like we all know about, paid PR and all that kind of stuff, which is fantastic. And it's a marketing practice. It works. Everyone does it. But I feel like even as a company, you stand to gain more of people's, respect if you're a bit more genuine, because I don't think we're still at a stage where, marketing is quite a mature science at the moment, and people, the more they're exposed to something, the more you understand how it works. So the more skeptical you become about that thing. So it's, it stopped being like billboard, hey, we are the number one manufacturing company in the UK. No one's going to believe that. Like, no one's going to believe that you're number one at something because you say you're number one at something. It takes people to say it. And it's great that, people are able to do this kind of stuff now.
I was just saying that to my brother on Sunday because we were in a restaurant and there was like the best burger in town. And I was like, man, I have the feeling every restaurant where I'm going and they serve a burger, best burger in town, best burger in town.
Like, who said it? They should just write down who said it. Like, it's probably going to be, the owner.
The chef.
Yeah, according to the chef, this is the best burger in town. And like, things tend to lose their value when that becomes the norm. If you look at marketing lingo, how everything is exciting. We are excited to present this, and this is spectacular, and this is amazing, and everything loses its value. And then the only thing that you're left with as a user, as a consumer, is, okay, let me just see what people think, what YouTubers think, what bloggers think, what everyone
100%.
that's got the freedom to express themselves.
100%.
So yeah.
No, I agree. I fully agree with you.
Yeah. So listen, you've been in crypto for a while, right? I was reading that you founded Qiibee in 2012.
So Qiibee is the loyalty branch. Let's say the loyalty part is already a bit older. Yeah, there we actually started learning the whole, let's say, loyalty in and outs, meaning that all the dynamics from how do you build a loyalty program, what do brands want, what do users want, etc. So that it wasn't yet crypto and blockchain back there. And then towards 2017, actually in 2017, we then made that move to connect loyalty and blockchain. So what we learned from the loyalty space and also what we started learning more from a tech perspective in the blockchain. I mean, I'm saying blockchain space, but at the end of the day, it's like from blockchain technology at the end of the day. So there we actually then made the move to move towards more an infrastructure logic, because at the beginning it was more applications. So how do you build these loyalty programs? We didn't think a lot about the infrastructure, and now it's, I don't want to say all about the infrastructure, but a lot about the infrastructure, because we see so much value there that can be captured, and that right now is completely legacy technology. So very exciting time. Sorry.
So that was my no, let's go. Very exciting. According to myself, this is the most exciting. No, but I get you, man. I get you. You can't deny feelings. I think that's all emotion. It's natural. It's human. So that was my follow up question, because you said like you started Qiibee, like the royalty thing, right, in 2012, but that wasn't always blockchain based.
Correct. Yeah.
So what was it? Was it 2017 that you decided to introduce that blockchain
Yeah.
component, and kind of how did you figure out that that's the next step?
I mean, honestly, first by hearing about Bitcoin. So
Fair.
that started in 2016 actually, and there read the white paper, starting understanding a bit. Okay, what does it actually mean? Because I mean, Bitcoin was already a topic from a speculation perspective, like going up and down, etc. Um, but then actually read the white paper, understood understood actually what I mean, Satoshi wanted to achieve or wants to achieve with Bitcoin, and the technology behind it, because I think that's even more, even more powerful. That can, let's say, power so many different use cases, and they're actually started to see how the loyalty space can benefit about it. And our goal was always to connect the loyalty market more, because we saw so many various loyalty programs. Also, when we're talking with brands, everyone wants their own loyalty program, which makes sense because you want to control
Yeah.
as much as possible. You want to fit it as much as possible to the needs of your company. You want to have that direct relationship to your customers. But it's still a huge pain for customers because, look, you have 20 different loyalty programs in your wallet and you forget like 15 of them. And that's where we actually saw always a big opportunity. Why is there not more connection between all these loyalty programs? And there we really saw that blockchain is, well, honestly, was born for the loyalty market, for all these loyalty currencies out there, to actually connect them with each other. And they are a huge value. People really underestimate loyalty programs because they're not that much in the public. Of course, everybody's using it, but the numbers behind, you have to go very, very deep in financial statements of different bigger companies to actually see, oh,
Right.
shit, this is a huge amount of value. Um,
Right. So how big is the
Whereas,
loyalty market? Would you say, like,
I mean,
roughly?
there are different numbers. One number is that we saw, and that's Boston Consulting Group that did that statistic. So it's not ourselves.
Right.
They say around $500 billion
Oh wow.
of unused loyalty points. Loyalty programs. I just saw from another presentation that loyalty programs worldwide do around $200 billion of revenue, and that revenue actually happens because they sell points, miles to their partners that actually then give them to their customers, right? So
Right. Like
that could be
Amex giving you, flights or like ticket,
correct.
like reduced plane tickets and stuff like that.
Correct. So, and during COVID, actually, it got much more apparent because airlines really went down from a business perspective. I mean, nobody was flying around, right? The only way to survive actually was to pre-sell their miles to these banks. So an Amex, a Chase, a Barclays, etc., because they give their customers the ability to convert credit card points into miles. And there you saw a lot
Right.
of deals going on. Hey, this bank bought just $500 million worth of miles from this airline, etc. And there you started seeing much more the value of these loyalty currencies and how much money is being done with it and how valuable they are for these companies. And airlines really survived mostly because of their frequent flyer programs. That was
Right.
really the most, I would say, when it became the most apparent. Sorry, the, I just heard sirens. They're coming to me.
It's fine. You can wrap it up really quickly if you need to go. Everyone will understand.
No, I shouldn't be an ambulance if it's the police. I don't know.
Don't shield any coins, I promise.
No, I didn't.
Bitcoin only.
Yeah, right. And yeah, so there is a huge amount of value behind these loyalty currencies, and that's where also blockchain makes a huge amount of sense because all these conversions that happen between these partners are a big pain for users because if you want to book a flight today and you want to convert some credit card points into miles, yeah, you need to wait 3 days until they're there in your mile
Right.
account. So it's not really an experience where you say it fits to the lives to a user because I mean, at least myself, if I talk about myself, is I'm not thinking 3 days ahead when I want to book a flight. Oh shit, I have to exchange some points into miles. But I
Right.
actually decide I want to book a flight now. Then I think about, actually, I want to use my miles, right? Let me check how many I have, and then I maybe say, okay, let me check how many I have on the credit card. Oh, cool, I can exchange. if I have to wait, and that happened to me a few times where I had to wait 3 days, and then the flight got more expensive, and I was like, yeah, okay, thank you. Now it's
Yeah.
also not super valuable for me. And for brands, it's a huge administrative issue because and it's very simple. Like you have an airline that has their database with all the loyalty point transactions. You have, for example, a bank that has their loyalty points transaction. And as soon as you make a conversion, you have to reconcile two databases. It's the same if I have bank A, you have bank B. I send you money. There's a Swift in the middle that actually reconciles our transactions, right? So that the balances are updated. And we basically saw the same potential for blockchain in on loyalty currencies, to make it very simple, because at the end of the day they're like euros, CHF, USD, etc., but they're called differently. Like there's a miles, there is a point, and then of
Right.
course the different branded points, etc. And that reconciliation really is completely removed if you do it on chain, because if you can tokenize both loyalty currencies and you actually put them on the same ledger, both have the same sort of truth. So you don't have to reconcile anything. And the user then has an instant transaction, because if they want to exchange points from one to the other place, I actually get them directly, because again, they're in the same database. It's not sending files around, making batch transactions, or APIs that take an eternity to update each other. So and it's clear these players are not technology companies. An airline is here to fly you from A to B, not to build amazing tech.
Though I would say the algorithms that they build in that dictate how the plane reacts to weather conditions is really important. And I'm not sure if they build those in house or if they have like external companies building those algorithms for them. Because we know what happened with Boeing and their recent blips.
Correct. And I mean, that's more at the end of the day, Boeing and Airbus, etc., are actually the ones providing the airplane, right? So those are the people actually that build the algorithms. The airline itself, like a Delta, like a Lufthansa, like a United, etc., they
Right.
can buy the airline or the airplane, and they sell the seats in those airplanes to fly you from A to B. So
Right.
at the end of the day, it's a hospitality business, because you want to give service to your customer. You actually want to make a nice experience when they fly from A to B, and the loyalty comes on top. The loyalty program, right? Because they want to, of course, retain you as a customer. They want to engage you so that you come again and again to their airline, and that's why they have a loyalty program. But at the end of the day, it's logic. It's like we wouldn't build our own airplane, like our own airline, just because we want to build a frequent flyer program. You know what I mean? Which is
Right.
amazing. So it's like the other way around. We are a tech company, so we work on building technology, and there are a lot of players already working, on the application layer. So giving these airlines and other programs the whole application side user experience. Let's say the interface for the user. The infrastructure is neglected at the end of the day, because there are like normal databases, servers, etc., that are in place since 20, 30 years, and we're really talking about this kind of age with a few companies that have loyalty programs. So huge amount of potential and huge opportunity to actually um, uh, save a lot of money for these companies, and generate a lot of value for
Yeah.
customers.
So from what I understand, then it would be like the company would no longer have to worry about either reconciling those points between different companies and not have like the overhead of having to manage these points and store these points in their own database, because right, it's on the ledger, so it's there universally, right? So would
Correct.
those then be tokenized? Would they have an intrinsic value, like like any token there, like so you wouldn't have to even convert them, you could just pay with those tokens if you wanted to?
So let's say the market is not yet ready for
Right. But I
that.
see that you've thought about that. I can see
No,
it.
yeah, 100%. I mean, that would be the dream case. The thing is that and I completely and 100% understand why it didn't happen yet. Because, I mean, one thing is, imagine an airline that flies around 100 million people a year, right?
Mm,
Maybe, or no, actually, let's take a United, for example, that has 100 million, more than 100 million members in their loyalty program, right?
right.
Huge. We're talking about huge numbers. Now, if you have an up and down of that mile, which is publicly traded, your customers would, like, if 5% of the customers call the airline because the price drops, that means 5 million calls that you have to take in your support center just
Right.
because the price dropped. So these are the things that are difficult maybe to see from the outside, but there is so many processes in the background, and the CFO would get crazy to now think about market making or exchange listing of that specific mile. So this is for us. It's a dream scenario. We hope that the
Yeah.
dream will come through, but it will be at least, I would say, my gut feeling, like at least 10 years from here.
Yeah. Well, you need to take just so many things into account, right? Because
Yeah,
like, what if someone decides to do some fuckery with the supply, or just to trade it in a
correct.
way that it would just fluctuate the price wildly, and suddenly these tokens are like suddenly they're like $5,000. You can buy like 10 plane tickets and sell them or resell them. Like, there's a lot of room to exploit that.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, United at the end of the day, I'm just taking that example, doesn't want you to, like, they want your loyalty, right? So they give you some miles so that you come back to them or that you use them with the partners that they have. And those are really, let's say, partnership agreements that they do because they believe in a certain co-branding value, et cetera, et cetera. So if you now start getting miles from United, sell them on the market, or even go and pay Delta with it, they wouldn't be they wouldn't be that happy about that, right? So it's really more about giving these players a very efficient infrastructure where they can tokenize their loyalty currencies, which anyways have a value on their books. So if you go into the financial statement and you check out how many points are outstanding of one of these airlines, or also other programs, and you see how much liabilities they have in dollars on their books, we're talking about billions of dollars. I think, like, don't take it with a grain of salt, but I think United has
Sure.
around $9 billion worth of liabilities from the points that are outstanding. So they have a clear value that are on the books, right? And it's really about tokenizing that specific value, putting it on chain, and making it tradable. And that's also
Right.
how also why we chose actually an approach of, okay, we took an Ethereum copy for our blockchain, right? And we let these brands tokenize it on our chain, which is not publicly accessible by others, in the sense that it's not that you can suddenly, as a user, say, you know what, I'll open up a Uniswap liquidity pool with USDT and United Miles. They will get crazy.
Right, right,
And
right, right. Yeah, I
then
mean, I
you
would
know
love
what?
to see something like that, though. it's such an interesting.
Me too. Believe me, it will be. But again, there are so many, and we understand it now much more because we talk so much with these brands that we understand more the intricacies of what their needs are at the end of the day. And we're really a believer of, I mean, it sounds maybe a bit cheesy, but like when Jeff Bezos talks about customer obsession, yeah, he is right. Like, you build for your customer and you're not disruptive until customers actually use your solution and see value in it, right? So when we started building Qiibee, and I mean the blockchain part always, but mostly also with the blockchain part, because you get driven a lot by what is happening in the market, what would be cool, what kind of use cases. As we just talked right now, it would be amazing to trade these loyalty currencies back and forth and have more freedom with it, right? But not at all the need of these, let's say, enterprises, and honestly, not at all the need for a lot of customers, because a lot of
True.
customers just want to have their miles. They want to have freedom to be able to spend them, of course, in the partnership network that is there, which is anyways already huge enough. We're talking about a few hundred partners, so you can almost get anything with these miles, right? And you just, in most cases, you can't cash them out. But again, like,
Right.
if I need an iPhone, I get an iPhone with United or with any other player or with Amex, etc. And mostly it's about, okay, exchange them for flights. There you also have the best value, which makes sense. If you use it for their product, they give you also the best value back. So it's really about identifying the needs of these markets and these players, and then building for them and solving their problems and their issues and making it really 10x, 50x, 100x better than it is today.
Right. And do you think, just to put my tinfoil hat here on for a moment, do you think that companies have an incentive to want to make loyalty points more easily accessible or claimable? Isn't it kind of in their interest to make it a little bit obscure to claim, so that they don't lose out on the rewards that they promise, so that people don't end up claiming them? Like, it wouldn't be an official statement written anywhere in any company policy, but I'm sure like some stingy CEO would be like, just put that in the fine print so they can't get it, or something.
I mean, yeah, honestly, Yeah, I mean it's a super good point. So there are two camps, I would say. There's a camp that is exactly like that. That a few people were saying, no, no, but it's better if our customers don't spend and then we have less cash out, right?
Yeah.
On the other side, there is a very clear camp, and that camp is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that clearly sees with data, hey, when our customers spend their loyalty points, they actually spend more money with us. Because if I have miles, like, right, and or points, whatever it is, because I purchased the product from you as a brand. Now, if I can't spend these points or miles, why is there value to coming back to you, spend more money with you to get more points and miles? There is no value.
True.
So in that moment, it gets a price fight because then I don't choose the airline with the best loyalty program. I actually choose the airline with the cheapest ticket.
Right.
And that's also super bad for airlines or for any other brand because if customers start choosing by price, what happens? Your only strategy is reduce price, reduce price, reduce price to the point where actually you don't earn any money.
Yeah.
So it, the camp that is seeing a lot of value and to give also more and more value to customers with these loyalty currencies is getting bigger and bigger. And very cool thing is actually that regulators are starting to see more and more value in it. And then maybe I can share the article after the call with you. But in
Yeah,
the
sure.
US, for example, regulators are starting to put much more, let's say, focus on these loyalty currencies because they see that customers are actually seeing that as a real purchasing power. And so what they're doing is they're starting automatically to regulate the players that are issuing these loyalty currencies and say, hey, you
Right.
can't just devalue, for example, the loyalty points from one day to the other, but you need to be much more fair with it. You need to keep up that value, et cetera, et cetera. So and also, for example, expiration dates are getting higher, meaning that, for example, a few airlines really have, okay, if you're active once a year, like you have to be at least active once a year in the program so that your miles don't expire. Also in Europe, a lot of airlines went from 1 year to 3 years expiration time. So giving the customers more value is being more and more a focus. And that really comes with giving more freedom, giving more liquidity to these loyalty points, and less thinking about it's kind of an old school thinking. It's still here,
Yeah.
but it's going more and more away.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel, and also what you've just said, competing on value versus competing on price was one of the first ever things that we learned, like back when I was studying marketing in uni. Like one of the
Yeah.
courses was like, it's that. It's like you could reduce the price and compete in an already competitive market, or you could try to create more value. So people, you provide something that other competitors don't. Um, and I completely agree that I feel one of the easiest and best ways you could do to like build brand properly and to get people to like really like talk positively about your brand and spread positive word of mouth is to make people happy, is to give people what they want, is to entice and not to build anti-consumer practices. And I was just talking to you at the beginning about the gaming industry and stuff, like so many, and you're going to see so many anti-consumer practices in those things, like oh, you want, and especially like casual gaming, like games on your mobile phone, with like you play for 10-15 minutes or whatever if you're a fan of Candy Crush and stuff, and then to continue to play the next level, you suddenly have to spend 3 hearts, and if you want to buy these 3 hearts, it costs you like $1 for 3 hearts. There's people that are spending tens of thousands of dollars on just these gamified anti-consumer mechanics, because you can't get the whole experience unless you cough up more and more cash.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I also believe that will, I mean, customer will become more and more, and that customer relationship will become more and more and more important going into future. So, because there are more players coming in and into all kinds of markets. Look at banking with all the fintech and neobanks that are coming in. You need to provide value. If you don't provide value, you start losing customers, and losing customers means you start losing your business.
Yeah, exactly. And it's only a matter of time, right? Until that happens, until people realize that your value offering is no longer strong enough. I'm going to go to these other guys. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And so, how many companies have you guys onboarded or worked with? And are there any that you have like good case studies on that you'd like to share?
I mean, we have now around 25. We're actually going more just five more hotels that are not yet announced, so 30. Um,
Nice.
yeah, that are, let's say, actively working with us, using all kinds of our solutions. I think the most exciting one for us right now, and that we also announced last year in December, is the partnership with Miles and More, where we're actively helping them out to expand their whole partners ecosystem because um, Miles and More is a huge company. It's owned by Lufthansa, and of course, they already have a lot of partners where you can earn and spend your miles. And what we're really focusing on is onboarding the smaller partners that, let's say, Miles and More doesn't have at the end of the day the resources to onboard so many smaller partners because they focus on the larger ones, right? So, I think that's a super interesting partnership
Right.
for in general for all frequent flyer programs, for other loyalty programs that want to expand their partner network, because we can really allow these enterprises to onboard partners with a click. And I mean, that's how we built the whole technically not only infrastructure in this case, but also application layer, because we have our rewards marketplace where you actually can access as a brand. You can decide with which brand you want to collaborate with. That brand receives a notification, then they can just accept or decline. And with
It's
that, the
very
whole
cool.
partnerships. Yeah, that's honestly, and also every time I see it and I use it as a user or I explain it in a demo, like it is very cool what we have built, I have to say. So and that's also has a huge scalability potential. So that's really now a year in, we learned a lot of stuff with the partnership. We learned a lot of, let's say, again, every day you work on these products, you learn and you talk with customers, you actually get more data and understand better what do these customers want, what do these customers need on both sides, right? And that's really what we focused on, is building out the product, talking with the customers. And from here on now, I would say we're really ready to scale the whole operations, and to go really wide because, again, we have a lot of substance from a customer feedback perspective where we see, okay, this is what is really needed. And at the end of the day, businesses think a bit like individuals. They don't want to spend a lot of effort on generating value. And I think we all have that internally.
Sure.
We don't want to spend a huge amount of time to get a certain amount of value, but if possible, wait a second. My mom calling me in the best
It's all good.
time.
You can pick up if you like. Bring her on the pod.
Mama, you want to get on the pod? Then we'll have to do the pod, not in Italian because she doesn't speak English, but she doesn't like it when I speak any other language with her than Italian.
I can understand some Italian. I've never studied Italian. I can understand about maybe
That's
I'd
good.
say 20 to 30%
That's good.
of what you
That's
say.
good.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. Pretty sure. Good. So yeah, that's for sure one of the most exciting partnerships. We're also seeing now from the first partners that we onboarded a lot of cool numbers. Of course, people love to spend as much as possible of their miles on different products. We actually have a furniture store that we onboarded at the beginning of the year. Huge amount of miles spent on furniture. I wouldn't have guessed it if we would have asked it in the beginning.
Wouldn't have thought
Um,
about it.
no, me neither. But it's amazing. That's the kind of data that surprises you, right? And where you actually start learning more and more because okay, actually, furniture people like to spend their miles, for example, on furniture. Which, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, I would have never said it's the furniture store that will have the most amount of expenditures.
Right.
We
Is that number one currently? Is that the most popular claim for those
with
miles then?
Yeah, with spending miles, yeah, it was the most popular, yeah. When we have
Wow.
a large partner that just started now, a big actually say it's public, Fashionet, which is a
Uh-huh.
large e-commerce store, and they also had amazing numbers. They had, I mean, they do around 250 million a year revenue, and also that number is public. I always have to remind myself which number down.
Yeah,
um,
because otherwise either it goes public or either I get a message from you being like, can we
Yeah,
cut
that's,
that out,
what are we
please?
actually what are we actually talking about? No, and they just started now in I think mid of October, and in the first month they had already just by soft launching it around a few hundred customers that already wanna earn or spend their miles, and that's actually earning miles. So that's
Hmm.
really really cool to see because. And it's always like that. If you have a loyalty program, it doesn't matter if you use an external one. Like in these two cases, these brands don't have their own loyalty program, but they say, you know what, we connect with miles and more, right? And we give out miles to our customers when they buy something, or we let them spend miles, which is an amazing solution, because at the end of the day, you don't have the whole hassle of building your own loyalty program, right? And to have to
Right.
manage it, but you actually can choose a huge brand, which has a huge amount of customers behind. I mean, Miles& More has around 36 million members, and their loyalty currency already has a huge power, right? So, and brand awareness. So, that's a really, really cool, let's say, solution. And seeing these brands now starting to flourish is amazing. I'm using again a lot of these words, but it is really amazing.
We'll just censor everything that's a superlative.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, it's a technology, and I'm very about it. But
I was,
that's really
I was,
cool.
yeah, I was using a lot of cool at the beginning of the year. That I met somebody and she was like, "Hey, you always say cool. Just use also some other words, exciting, amazing." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, you're right. I should actually change some time."
Yeah, I feel like cool is one of these words that it's not a superlative. Something is really nice, it's cool, but it also leaves room for interpretation. It
Yeah,
leaves a bit of when you say something is amazing, that's it. You're not going
yeah,
anywhere from amazing. Like what's better than amazing? Um,
that's true.
do you
That
know,
is true.
have you ever read 1984
No,
about
actually
George
not.
Orwell?
I know which one, but I never fully read it. I read some summaries, but never the full thing.
So in the book, they talk about creating a new kind of English language that's called Newspeak, and they're looking to remove all of these nuance in languages, saying that well, a lot of it is redundant. You don't need great and amazing and fantastic and all that. And then their suggestion is we're gonna have one word that's good, and then if you want to say well better, then that's plus good, and if you want to say best, that's double plus good. And because you have the word good, you don't need its negative because you have good. So you can just say ungood. There's no bad.
It rationally makes completely sense. If I think about my German teacher when I went to school, they're like, yeah, when you write an essay, don't use always the same word for the same meaning. But actually, it makes, I mean, on one side it makes sense, but it makes also life, I think.
Yeah. I feel like if
Less,
a machine were to make a language, 100%. I feel like
yeah,
if a machine, that's how a machine would create a language if they could. They would just strip out all of these like human components and just streamline it to extreme.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But
So
it's fun
it's
to see when you talk to ChatGPT, it's actually quite humanly friendly. With also using this is exciting and this sounds amazing and this sounds like this. So
very true. Yeah, I feel like it also tries to like sometimes it tries too hard when you use the AI and it
yeah,
uses
that's true.
like these words that are just kind of big or too big to fit within that context. And every time it goes like it's a dead giveaway if you ever see a text that says in the world of or in the realm of fill in in whatever industry that's AI generated. I see so many articles now that are AI generated on the web, and
Yeah.
it's just I feel like it's just throwing stuff there instead of actually people taking time to build those things with more time and effort. But I've seen like also Google is been cracking down on that quite a bit lately. So
Yeah.
Google's getting much better at detecting AI generated content and then de-ranking websites that or blogs that use that. So it's no longer, it used to have a bit of SEO alpha, but it no longer has it. So hopefully people stop writing AI generated articles. No one wants them. Honestly, no one wants to read them. No one reads them. There's also this theory of the dead internet. Not sure if you're familiar with it. It was popular, I think, back in early 2000s, and then it came back again. The theory of the dead internet is that no one actually uses it. It's just fucking bots writing to bots and bots liking other bots' posts. And I
Yeah.
feel like there's some truth in that.
Yeah, yeah, there's 100% some, I mean, yeah, there is 100% some truth in it, because at the end of the day, and I mean, actually, Mark Zuckerberg talked about it, that we will see more and more user AI generated content on social media, um, to actually appease the user, right? So that you actually see more content that you like. But if you think also about how many bots are on those on those platforms, it's literally that. Like you have a bot creating content, and you have bots liking and engaging with that content. Yeah, I 100% I 100% agree with you. And but I think also they also talk about the trading in trading the same logic that basically that alpha will go away because if you have AIs training with each other, both will optimize to the point where there is actually no human component and there is actually no profit to be gained because you have both fully maximized AIs trading against each other.
Yeah, no, I could also be partly responsible for that. I do have an algorithmic trading startup which pretty much does that. But we don't use AI. We just we let people create their algorithms themselves.
Oh, very
So whatever strategies that they want to build and they want to implement, whether it's with technical analysis or with sentiment analysis or stuff like that, they can build it. But it's ultimately, it's like giving you, this car to go and run laps on, but it's up to you to take the steering wheel to know how to.
to drive
Um,
it.
I feel like AI is probably not yet. I haven't looked too much into it. It's on my bucket list of things to do once I have a bit more time to just figure out if AI trading is actually a thing. Because I keep seeing this term pop up. Um, I'm not convinced that it can make sense of all that market noise just yet. Maybe it's just me. Until I look into it, I'm not gonna know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I think AI is if you think about what Steve Jobs said with the computer, that it's like the bicycle for the mind. I think that AI is like the motorcycle for the mind. In the sense that that you
Fair.
can go even faster because I mean I see myself. I mean, back to content. Like when I have to write something that is longer, then yes, I use ChatGPT. I put my bullet points in there. Can you please write me? I need to do this and this. This is my audience. And can you quickly make me text, right? It literally speeds up so much and it lets you
Oh yeah.
save so much time. I have the feeling, and it's with always with everything you do. I mean, as you just said, like you give the car and people have to drive it. I think that's where we have to be always aware of that we're responsible as humans of what we're doing. So if we get a tool, we are responsible how we use it. And the same logic is when I create a piece of content, and it's not for social. But for example, if I have to do an investor update or something like that, I like to put it quickly through it. Just right here are the bullet points. Write it then I always check it myself and I always adapt a few things because I want them to be more like me at the end of the day so that it's also more genuine, right? And I think that's the part where responsibility and accountability comes into play, that we as individuals just take that for ourselves and use these tools to make our lives again better and faster and then save more time and gain more time back for our loved ones, for example, or for ourselves. But at the end of the day, if you start just dumbly just using like here AI do everything for me, live my life, and
Yeah.
life
I'm gonna
life
go
gets
live in a
boring.
pod.
Yeah, right.
I'm going back into
Go
the
to
pod.
bed, just sleep, and just do my job throughout the day, and then
Yeah. Hey, here's my wife. Go have at it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's,
With Elon's robot, you never know.
he said recently that within 10 years he expects that there's gonna be more robots than people on the planet. And just to clarify, he doesn't just say more machines, because I think there are already more machines that there aren't humans,
Yeah,
100%. I think he means more Tesla robots.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I find that hard to believe. More than you mean more than eight? Well, we're gonna be like in 10 years 9 billion or something. So you mean more than 9 billion bots in 10 years? Man, you gotta have some really efficient like production line to be able to pull that kind of stuff off.
Yeah,
Because like it took them years to have a good production line for Tesla, and it's really hard. It's like production lines are some of the hardest things, right? Um, to build one for so many bots, I feel it's a bit
that
optimistic.
I mean, he's a very optimistic guy. He likes to aim. He likes to aim high,
Very
but we
true.
also we also have to be true, like and fair. He reached a huge amount of stuff that sometimes with delays, but he reached a lot of goals that he set himself. And I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
also it's difficult to imagine like having more than 9 billion robots on this world, like the Tesla robots. But I also have the feeling that if he manages to bring the price to a certain level where it's really affordable, honestly, it could really be like it really could be that you have 2 3 robots in your household. Um, one is doing the laundry, the other one is cooking, the other one is driving you around, the other one is doing the garden. So it depends really on. I think it's a pricing topic. If you bring it
Mm.
to down to a price which is affordable for everyone, I could imagine seeing that a lot. I mean, think about a restaurant or like a lot of different things where you really have. Again, the question is then what are we humans doing then? If there are so
Yeah.
many robots, but that's another conversation. But just from
Yeah.
a numbers perspective, there is a certain truth in it. If it gets to that kind of number, I don't know, but a few billion robots, I could imagine. Yeah,
Yeah, I can see it on a longer time scale, 100%. Like I have a lot of respect for the guy, and I think he's built a lot of fantastic technology, and he was obviously very knowledgeable. Um, but yeah, I think we would just have to see. I would love to have some AIs do my all my stuff for me, so that I don't have to worry about it.
amazing,
Uh, 100%. I'm sure a lot of people would too. And again, I think it's back a matter of value. Like
hundred
price,
percent.
of course, it is part of it, but there's also is the perceived value of having some AI assistance around. You know, does that improve your quality of life to a point where you're feeling like you need to spend money on this thing? And I'm sure like a lot of people would.
Yeah, I also think. I mean, if you think about elderly people, for example, that live alone, and that have to, let's say, right now, um, uh, they're basically they need their family to take care of, and sometimes also the family has to work, has children, and etc. So it's also difficult to take care there. And if you let's say if you have there an assistance that is really all the time with you, I have the feeling that that will bring a lot of value because there's a lot of stuff where it could literally help you out during like basic stuff. Again, doing laundry, cooking, doing all of these things, driving you around, etc. But then also being there if something happens. I think that that will be a huge game changer for, for a lot of people. Where I mean, a lot of situations where elderly people, I don't know, fall at home. They don't feel well, and nobody sees that. They don't have the time to call someone. They don't have to time to just react, right? And in that, it can really, I think, if you look at all these use cases, it could save a lot of life and bring a huge amount of value.
Yeah, yeah. And not to speak like the efficiency gain you'd have by using AIs or robots in a business, in
Yeah,
hospitality, in retail, in all that sort of stuff. I feel like that would be any business owner's wet dream. A lot of people are concerned that like getting robot like people are going to be losing their jobs to robots, because first of all it was like, oh, we're going to lose our jobs to AI, like content writers and designers and
mhm,
programmers and but it's proving to be more of an assistance rather than like we were discussing, rather than taking your job. We're talking about LLMs, but if we're talking about robotics and robots, I feel like people will just naturally like slowly transition into different industries. I think people would just upskill to learn to maintain or improve these robots rather than doing the work themselves. Just like in programming, if you want to use AI to write some of the code for you, you're kind of like the overseer. You're making sure that what this guy is doing is correct. I said guy, I'm already humanizing them. But what the AI is doing is
exhausted. No,
yeah.
100%. Yeah, and I also think if you think about hospitality, it is difficult to. I'd say think about an airline, for example. I mean, yeah, you can. I don't know if I would do it, but in theory, the easiest job to replace would be the pilot, because in theory, you wouldn't need you wouldn't need. But who is much more difficult to actually replace is the stewardess, as an example, because or the steward, because you need that, I think, human connection. Like I don't know if we can start building. At least I can't imagine to start building a relationship with a robot in the sense that you have with a waiter, for example, when you go to a restaurant and the waiter makes a joke or he, like there is that human touch that I
Oh
have
yeah.
the feeling that really is. bonds us as humans, which at the end of the day goes over the rational side, right? And that is irreplaceable from my perspective, honestly.
No, I completely agree. I think there's some novelty factor in getting a bot to serve you a beer. I think that's cool for a few
Of
times, and
course.
maybe you can have a few thematic venues that are, hey, these are run by robots. Go have fun, whatever. Get this robot to give you a lap dance and just smack that piece of tin or something. But I think in terms of having an actual like human to human interaction, I don't think that can ever be replaced. I don't think I don't think we can have machines that are as human as humans, even if you give them great you know skin like texture, and you make them like feel very but
Yeah.
it's not a human there. But then we're getting into like really weird discussions about what is human, and when we reach singularity and we're talking about AGI or ASI, like at which point do we consider this thing sentient? And if it is sentient, then what's stopping us for treating it as a human? Like it's
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
getting in a strange territory there. I feel that's how, if you've watched you probably watched The Matrix.
Yeah, of course.
There's a prequel to it. There's it's an anime that is not film. It's an animation called The Animatrix, and explains how the Matrix got where it is. So it talks about it actually shows society evolving in tandem with this AI robot city that they built. And the AIs were starting to protest for rights because they were seeing a subhuman, and they were like protesting, looking for like rights and stuff. And then there's a lot of like human to robot violence, and eventually that's how the conflict escalated, and then the machine started a war with the humans.
Crazy.
Like,
I mean, yeah, I don't say I can imagine it, but I, th- yeah, like as soon as you have the emotional side, like if AI and robots really get to the emotional side, yeah, it's 100% something that because that's really what creates at the end of the day wars. It's when people start getting angry, people start getting greedy. So it's not the rational side that actually then, well, at least that's my take on it. I always have the feeling that behind when you have wars or let's say yeah conflicts, it's always a matter of emotions going high rather than looking at facts, looking at the rational side. Because in theory, if you look at rationality, that never makes sense to make a war. There's always other solutions that are much more peaceful at the end of the day and bring more value to both sides. So yeah, if an AI gets to that point, yeah,
yeah,
I don't know if it gets there, but if it gets there, then I think we have other issues. That's why maybe Elon is so
yeah.
scared about a few things.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I feel like but what you're saying regarding emotions, I feel like that's how you sway masses in general. You appeal to their emotions. You can appeal to their rationality, but it's only so far it can take you, because people can still decide, oh, this is bullshit, I'm not going to listen to you.
Mm,
But if you try to appeal to their emotions, every time I see a speech from anyone that goes into think about how hard this is and how bad it makes you feel, like, no, I'm not going to think about that, because you're just trying to make me really
yeah,
emotional so I can feel with your no. Like, I'm instantly going to judge that person's characteristics and what they actually want from me the moment they go like on this emotional manipulation kind of spiel.
100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree. And yeah, I mean, with emotions, you can do a lot of things. And also, I mean, if you look at marketing and selling products, that's exactly where emotions have actually a huge amount of let's say I don't want to say value, but of drive. Like they drive a lot of decisions because there's an emotional component in it. A lot of people don't think rational when they purchase certain things.
100%. Like, just look at an iPhone. Like, how many people actually care? Well, we've got the A5 processor and it's got 8 gigs
Yeah,
of RAM or whatever. I'm like, I don't care. I don't honestly. I'm not sure how many people use it for the specs, because I have an iPhone and I use it to just get directions, to write to people, and to like browse Twitter and Reddit sometimes. That's literally all I use it for, and to like pay for stuff. I could probably even use like 2 gigs or 3 gigs of RAM. I wouldn't care about it.
100%.
Um,
Even easier. Look at meme coins.
Yeah. Yeah, look at the entire like stock market. It's all emotional, right? You got fear and greed. Like we've gone from 68,000 Bitcoin to 89,000 Bitcoin purely on greed, right? We got a little bit of yay, fuck yes, America's back, pro crypto, everything. And then you got people like retail started to come in. We've registered a few days ago. We had the highest level of inflows of Bitcoin ETF inflows that we've ever registered. I think it was
Mm,
over 1.3, $1.4 billion in one day.
okay.
And if that's not like that's emotional, that's greed, that's a market
Yeah,
knee-jerk reaction.
100%. Yeah, 100%. But
Yeah,
again,
it
that's also what it makes. I think it makes life it makes the good side of life because emotions, I mean, are amazing. If you think about loving someone, family,
of
etc.
course.
On the other side, of course, there's also bad emotions that then drive on the other side. But I think that's what makes life worth living at the end of the day. Because only rational, then we can go to 1984, as you said. This is good plus, and good plus
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel a lot of the times it's also it's not only about experiencing the nice emotions, because life is, it's a roller coaster. You've got to deal with all sorts of stuff, and I feel that that's what makes it special. You can't appreciate the good times if you don't have any of the lower, of the bad times. it
100%. Yeah, yeah.
it
It
puts
also
things
gets
in perspective.
boring. It's to you always have to top it up, because that's also how we're humans are made. Like we always get comfortable with one state of let's say good life, and then you want it better, better, and better and better. And when you get, let's say, pulled back into reality in certain senses, that hey, there is also the other side of life, right? I think that really makes you appreciate so much more the good side and also the
Yeah,
smaller things.
100%. 100%, because like if you let's say you eat the best, most exclusive whatever food in the world today, and you eat it again tomorrow, and you eat it again the day after, like you're gonna get sick of it. You're gonna be like, I don't want any more of this. This is
100%.
bullshit. I hate it. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Give me some bread with tomato and some olive oil.
Exactly. Let's go.
We do it
Let's
in
go.
Italy. Bruschetta.
Oh, there's this one really simple pasta dish that I love, by the way. It's called pasta aglio olio, I think.
Aglio, yeah, for example, yeah, it's just
It's so nice, man. It's just some olive oil, some garlic, some chili. It's
correct.
fantastic. It's
Yeah,
so good.
I agree. And if you can, that's I think also where you appreciate the small things. Like if you eat caviar every day or truffles, then it just like it's not exclusive anymore. It's not fun anymore. And the same with pasta aglio olio. If you eat it every day, it doesn't. You don't appreciate that much as when you eat it if you like in a randomized way. Let's call it like that.
Exactly. Like it needs to be an experience, especially with pasta, because if you have too much gluten on a regular basis, probably also not very good for you either.
Tell me about it. I had a bit too much in the last 2 months, but yeah, my workouts need to be more intensive to actually get all this.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, man. I know what you're saying. I'm hoping to be bulking for the next month and a half, and then I have a long cutting period, and I never look forward to the cuts. They always suck.
For me, it's
Always
always like
suck.
when summer comes, it's like you get ready because you know, okay, you'll be out there with your bathing suit and everything, and then it's like, okay, winter is coming.
Yeah,
It's
who
getting cold,
cares?
so I need a bit more reserves.
Yeah, just give me another burger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Awesome. What plans do you guys have then for the remainder of? Well, there's not much left of this year, but then let's say next year or the first quarter next year.
Um, so I mean, this year for sure the most anticipated milestone that we have on the roadmap is our TG itself. So launching our token. That's
Nice.
community highly anticipated. So there, we're really working on making that one done. We also have a few brands in the pipeline that we're still working on. We hope that we can announce one or two still this year because when you work with enterprises, it's amazing on one side. It's good, that's appreciating the good and the bad. It's really good
Yeah.
on one side because huge brands and you get so much value out of it. But on the other side of it, they're very, very slow
So
to
many
get
processes. Yeah.
to get a confirmation on a piece of communication. Marketing has to check it out, legal has to check it out, sales has to check it out. But then when you have it, it's you also know it's 100%. So that's for sure something. And then next year, honestly, I'm scaling the business side, meaning that onboarding more and more brands. As I said before, we saw this year with Mazamore that the whole tech product really works. We onboarded the first 20 partners. We had already a few before, so we onboarded around 20 partners this year all together. So we really saw, okay, it works. We saw also what didn't work, and we have to actually let's say work on. And now next year, full focus on onboarding brands. The goal is really to, yeah, to get a lot over 100 brands. Let's see how many we can onboard. Again, there's also, you try to build efficiency on one side and quality at the same time. So you still want to onboard a lot of brands, but you want to give them as much attention and as much value as possible personally, in the sense that as a team, you really want to onboard each one individually. You want to stay next to them to really show them how they can use the product, etc. But the goal, yeah, is to get well over 100 brands that are on board, and then also expanding on the loyalty program side, getting more frequent flyers on board. So fully focus on the business side, and with that, product automatically will further develop, because again, it's always that iterative process where you
Of
onboard
course.
brands, you listen to their needs, you talk with them, and then on the other side, you further develop the product. So there are a few very, again, I'm using exciting again, but they're literally very exciting opportunities in the pipeline that I it sounds big, but it really can be one, let's say, one step further into changing the whole face of loyalty infrastructures, and how actually and then all these processes are being conducted in the background. Again, changing infrastructures for enterprises, what I told you before, with billions of dollars in
Hmm.
loyalty points out there, it's not a thing that you do from today to tomorrow.
Of course.
So it takes a lot of time, but you always look like step by step. It's like when you climb a mountain, which is very high. You just are happy with every step that you're making in the right direction. You're getting to that peak, and that's a bit the same here. We have a few things in the pipeline that, if they work out, I really think that we can say we're redefining how loyalty works.
That is, you see, I'm going to use it as well. That is exciting, actually. That is really cool. I think. What's the use case of your token? What is it going to be primarily used for?
So it's used as a gas fee, first of all. So for our blockchain, where actually brands can tokenize their points, can make transactions. So that's the first one. And at the end of the day, using a really decentralized incentive structure, because as soon as you say, okay, just pay a cash fee at the end of the day, you always have somebody in between, either a bank, either any other payment provider. So having that decentralized incentive structure for the brands using the chain, and then the nodes that we're building, that's one of the main utilities. On the other side, we're actually using it for on the other side, our token holders can use it as kind of as a status mile. So the more tokens you stake, the higher your tier, and the higher your tier, the more benefits you will get on our loyalty program. And the cool thing is, since we built all these B2B products, so for brands, we're actually now using it for our own holders. So we set up our own loyalty program based on the white label solution that we have built. We have all the rewards that we have on the marketplace. We have integrated in the loyalty program, and there you actually will be able to stake your tokens, get points, and then you can decide yourself: do you want to get more tokens, or do you need a gift card from Amazon right now because you want to order something on Amazon? You want to fly to the next conference, so you need miles, so you exchange these points to miles.
Right.
And we have tons of different brands on there, from Apple to Samsung, etc. So we saw people buying their grocery vouchers, getting a PlayStation, getting an iPhone, getting an Amazon gift card. We have an integration with Binance where you can convert your points into crypto.
Oh
But of
wow.
course, we use, let's say, we're much more, how should I call that? We're much more open to use all kinds of different redemption options as a company in this space, because we can also test many more things. And the cool thing is, we can then show it also to the brands and show them,
Yeah.
actually, hey, look, this actually really worked. And users were super engaged when we opened up to this redemption option, or all the questing topics that you see right now in the crypto market, where make a tweet, follow us on Twitter, and all of that stuff we integrate in the loyalty program. So yeah, the idea is really to build, at the end of the day, the Web3 loyalty program, with all the know-how that we bring from the loyalty space itself, plus the know-how that we've built over the last 7 years in the blockchain space, in the crypto space, where we saw a lot of stuff, learned a lot of things. So yeah, I really let's say we put a lot of work and a lot of passion in what we do. And I see that the first users really enjoyed it. I have around 60,000 users now on the program. So test a lot of things also there, talked with a lot of users, learned a lot of stuff, and now always improving on it.
Yeah, man, I can tell. I can tell you're really passionate about it, and it's always good to see, that you work on what you're passionate about, because that's how the best products get built and created and developed. So all of this is in your internal infrastructure. You said you have a copy of Ethereum that you're running, like its own separate blockchain, but it's integrated with stuff like Binance, so people can trade those points or buy
So
points or sell
yeah.
points if they like.
Yeah. And on our marketplace, you can imagine that every brand can basically choose the option to say, hey, I want to let my customers exchange their points to
Right.
BTC sample, right? So it's really what we say is you have to bring the tool, as we said before, also with AI, right? We give the tool to these brands and then they can decide what they want to do with it. If I, as a brand, say, no, look, I prefer just miles as an example, as an exchange option, you just choose miles. So that's completely up to you, right? If you say, hey, I'm a bit more open, and also from a regulatory perspective, I can actually also allow it, then you can open it up also with crypto.
Wow.
So you can choose different cryptocurrencies that are available on Binance, and then your customers can exchange points into
Right.
BTC, into ETH. And the cool thing is in our dashboard, then the brands also see exactly what kind of redemption options their customers actually like. And what we see is, yeah, people love crypto, I have to
Right.
say.
Yeah.
Like the
And the
top five redemption options are BTC, ETH, Sol, Doge. So it's like, it's fun to see I mean, we also have the Web3 community on board right now. So of course they tend more towards that. Uh, I think that with Web2 users, you will also see many more other redemption options. And again, we also saw it actually with the Web3 community because everybody needs to buy groceries. Like also in crypto, we have to eat, we have to buy
right.
stuff for our household, etc. So we also use iPhones, we also game on a PlayStation, etc. So it's really fun to see how real world products and rewards, so not just like points to crypto, um, uh, have a huge value for the space. And that's also one of the things that is a big USP compared to a lot of other, let's say, engagement programs that you see out there in the Web3 space. Most of them say, hey, you get some points and then you get an airdrop for that. We did also these kind of campaigns, but we always allowed to exchange those points, those social fi points, into real loyalty points from our program, so that you can actually then get whatever you want.
That's super cool, man. I think like that's also a big step for adoption and a big step to making, crypto yet more familiar to like your average, retail investor, and even like
100%.
just regular people using stuff and seeing like, hey, I could claim this for miles, or I could claim it for Bitcoin, and just, yeah,
100%. 100%.
it's really cool. I'm really looking forward to this,
Take it
and
forward.
it will be my pleasure to have you on some other time. Talk to me about your big release or anything like that.
100%.
Next time next year would be really good.
I'll I'll send you a link so that you can register and you can check it out by yourself.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Do it.
We'll do it. Thank you so much. It was
Right.
an amazing. Again, I have to use again amazing, but it was really an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Me too, man. Thanks for coming, and have a lovely rest of your day.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.